Yeah, review.
Pastor probably got the
I actually
Cliff
did it
Note
now.
copy.
I left it laying there. I have some notes in the car though that I took from last week. I can go for that because I remember putting it together. Let me get that. Let me see, can I do that?
Okay, because you probably have the Cliff Note version,
Yeah,
but if
I
not,
do, but I don't know what I want to do with the hair since she's so small.
Man, he had something this morning too.
Hey, I got my pen and paper today. Really hard.
No, that's right.
Oh, here it is. Oh, let me get a. May I have a piece of paper, please? A sheet of paper.
What verse were you working
Right
from?
there.
Well,
Next
I
to
was
Miss
doing,
Barbara.
Oh, okay.
I was really doing, what is it, Revelations 21.
What 21?
Let's see.
Is it 13? No.
Where the stones are, Revelations 21.
Let me see what page.
I'll give you
20.
Right on
I
there.
They
saw
start at 19
21.
and go to 20.
19
Okay.
and 20.
Yeah,
20.
I
And
started
pearls
with
were in 21.
20.
I'm sorry, 19.
Verse 19
Uh-huh.
is the foundations will always start with the stones, and then it goes all the way there. 21 talks about pearls. So
Okay.
20 has the last.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Alrighty there.
I just wanted the basics.
and that's what I did. I pulled the basics.
Yeah,
out of that.
he that's your Cliff Note version.
Yeah, that's what I pulled
And
the
then
basics out of it. Last week I took notes, and then I pulled the basics out of it, and that's what I left. I didn't bring it with
And
me.
you you know your pastor, he can take the basics and then blow them up. When he starts talking, it just blows. You know how it is.
See.
Alrighty. Did you really, any other thoughts? Any thoughts or comments about what?
I do. I have a couple.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I was looking forward to being there to get the rest of it because I see a picture developing like a Polaroid picture, and when we talk about the whole concept of the foundation, it's if this is the foundation of righteousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what righteousness is built on. Then, if righteousness is built on this, then what are the gates? What do they look like? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what does it mean to enter into this place of righteousness and stand on this foundation? I believe that to embrace what these 12 stones mean, to embrace the whole concept of Jerusalem, you have to understand not just the stones, not just the gates, not just the tribe, but you also have to understand the crystal sea, you know, the tree, everything about it. And when that happens, I honestly see,
You'll see you.
yeah, being Yeshua. Uh, um, the image of Elohim is a image that reflects the personality of Yahweh. And I see that the personality or the foundation of this image, the foundation of Yahweh, of our Elohim, is this, the righteousness. Everything is built on that. Because the reason I say that is because you don't see where Elohim is a deliverer, you see where Yahweh is a deliverer. So when you embrace this and embrace the idea of being Elohim, it's at that point when you take the next step. And that step is being the deliverer, which is Yahweh. And so, how we get there, I don't know, honestly.
So it's reflective of going back to the beginning, because in beginning there was oneness,
Yeah.
and Elohim represents one and many. Uh, so being Elohim, the, uh, and embracing all of these spiritual attributes here, um, I see it as allowing a closer approximation of oneness, or if not oneness, with Yahweh.
So the oneness is actually, um,
Divine,
the oneness is not an entity as much as it is a state of being.
yeah. If Einsof began, I don't know if you remember when we did the bubbles and just did how the universe was formed. All of it came from the oneness.
Yeah.
And so, is it truly becoming one again? And that occurred so we would know who we are. And these are the iterations, the lives, and the attributes that we develop are the iterations that bring us back to oneness. Elohim, Ein Sof created space so that the universe could be created, so that mankind, so that everything could be created. So is it a reversal of going back to beginning the more we embrace these foundations of righteousness?
When you said that, I've thought about some time ago, how was the space created? And then it dawned on me, there is no space in your womb for a child right now. And the space is created when it's time for a child to maturate there. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So I see it in that regard. That's how the space was created, as opposed to just clearing everything out. I see it as a massive womb out of which everything comes. And with oneness, the state of being, yet many. And what is the many? I think the many is the embracing of the principles. And the principles of which I speak are the ones that are hidden in plain sight in the essence of these stones, in the essence of the New Jerusalem. I think Revelation is more indicative of what beginning looks like than Genesis is. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It presents you know, I don't know whether they still do it, but you remember in school when we had to do an outline before we write a paper. I see see Genesis as an outline, and Revelation as the essay itself, or the composition.
I was looking at one of those science channels on TV, and we're talking about this issue of oneness and how can you create something from nothing, and they were talking about this foil that they found from the Area 51, whatever, from a suspected site where there was a spacecraft, that the foil, the membrane of the vessel, is it can be it can be large like that, but it can be crumpled into your hand into almost nothing. And then when there's no pressure, it does that again. So it just reminds me of how something, when you said the word womb, and when it's time for creation to occur, that it has that capacity to do that. It's like, but there is that science out there. It may not be in this world yet, but they have pieces of that thing, and they this is one of the people who saw it actually, and he said it had those attributes that it could,
One.
yeah. So, and that's probably why, also, not probably, that's why the universe also, everything is made up of numbers are so important in this universe. Quantum physics, all of that is so important in this universe because all of that is foundational to how things are made up and how this world is made up. So anyway, I just thought about that when you said that. Other thoughts from last week? Any other? Okay. I think was Beryl the last one we talked about?
It was.
And we were saying, well, let me review that right quick and then we'll go forward about that. Because I think that was the one that several of us had, we felt like we had an affinity with. This Beryl is the one that teaches us how to do only that which is needed to do in this particular time and space. So it implies rightness to me. It implies someone understanding just when to do what they need to do, how they need to do it, with whom they need to do it, as they need to do it, if that resonates. It's doing the right thing right when you need it. It's saying the right thing right when you need the words. It's modeling the right behavior or the right characteristics to whomever is watching right when not only you need it, when they need it. I don't know if that resonates or not, but it resonated with me. Because when you can do that, I'm sorry, I need to take this.
Okay.
Y'all talk amongst
So-
yourselves.
Okay, what Rob was talking about, it resonates. And it's like when you're in the presence of confusion and you want to bring an end to it, you know exactly what to say without even thinking about it. It's a characteristic that not only gives you opportunity or the ability to bring order to chaos, but it also gives you the opportunity or the ability to bring healing where there is pain. Having the right words to say that will mitigate the pain, and the right words to say that will bring harmony from a chaotic circumstance.
Oh, that's what I wanted to say.
Okay.
Okay.
If someone sees your attributes, do they? Well, you know how your families are, right? Families are a microcosm of the macro, like Uncle Buddy and all of them folk. But have you ever been told, wow, when you come, you know how things sort of balance themselves out again? When Uncle so and so says something, you know, just the right thing to say that keeps things from escalating and things like that. That's sort of just an idea of what we mean about being Yeshua, being what you need to be, when you need to be, how you need to be, saying it, doing it.
I think that statement that talks about sharing unwanted baggage fits like hand in glove with being able to say or to do what's needed at that particular moment, living in the now. Because I see that the baggage that you unload is your opinion, and or it is how you would previously have dealt with it, not based upon what is right or righteous, but based upon your opinion.
How you feel and how you
Yeah, and that's baggage we need to get rid of. Rather than putting ourselves in someone else's shoes and dealing with it from that perspective, we act as if we've never been in those shoes at all. And that in itself is baggage that we need to get rid of.
And you said that, but there are some of these stones that have that affinity these attributes that have that affinity that allow you to be able to um, um, get rid of those emotional kinds of things you need to get rid of, which tie you and which screen other people through your emotions. And when you're screening other people through your emotions, what comes through is partially your opinion. And I don't mean emotions like we really think of emotions. I mean emotions that um, uh, were grounded in what you learned as a kid, what you learned in your family, what you learned on your job, what you learned as you live life apart from the spiritual being that you are. Those kinds of things that um, are a veil between you and how you see people. They're your they're your blinders in a sense. But um, what you said reminded me that there are even stones that have attributes that have that affinity that allow you to just release that, let it go. All that negative stuff. Okay. Yeah. Unwanted long emotional baggage. Real. That this is yeah. Beryl does that. It helps you realize your potential. It enhances courage. It releases stress. I mean, when you don't have when you aren't. I mean, we create our own stress if you think about it. When you don't put your own opinions towards something or towards someone, I mean, what's to get stressed out about? If you don't allow that to occur, you just simply be, and that's what um, pastors always say. Just be. You know, it doesn't matter what so and so did and how they came across to you, and so cut you off in the. I just love to see my sister Shakita. Somebody cut Shakita. What you doing? You know, she talks to them like they can hear us. Shakita, just chill out. You know, they can't hear you. You're letting your blood pressure go up. It doesn't bother them. But those kinds of things, just let it go. Just don't let it get you tied up in knots. So that's something that we allow. We cannot allow it. Okay, so Beryl is about courage, relieving stress. Filters out distractions. Filters out distractions. So if this attribute helps you shed unwanted emotional baggage and filter out distraction, boy, we should have a laser focus on being what we need to be at the time we need to be it, with whom we need to be it, and saying what we need to say when we need to say it. Because it filters out distractions and it gets rid of the emotions.
Um, I think the issue with filtering out distractions is being able to determine what is a distraction.
So, I got my own definition. How about some definitions here? What do you think are distractions?
It could, to me, it could be, it depends on the flavor of the day. I'll just say that. Most of the time it's my family. Because I worry about, I don't worry, but I'm concerned about them.
Hmm.
So that's one of mine.
And so what does that do when you're concerned about it though? What is it about it that makes them a distraction? It takes up your time and your energy and your thought.
Whatever they're dealing with, I want the outcome to be, and I'm just being honest with you, I want things to work out for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, how does that distract you?
Because it takes me away from the present.
Okay. All right. That's where I was going.
That's it. Bottom line. A distraction takes your attention away from the now. Anything that takes your attention away from the now. It doesn't have to be your family. It could be your friend. It could be a phone call.
Yeah.
Whatever takes your attention away from what you're focused on. It can be me.
Well, but so the issue is now that we know this, how do we deal with it? What are we gonna do about it? Because if we go back and we allow it to continue to do that, what does that say about? And that's me too. I'm not just talking about you. That's me. That's anybody who allows a distraction to get them off center so that
Well, Evelyn and I were talking, and we were saying the first thing is just becoming aware, because we didn't know this was in us,
Right.
but now we do.
so what you gonna do now? Yeah. So when it rises, when it comes in, when it for lack of a better word, when it rises up again, the thought of whatever, the concern.
Well, we didn't know that us as the New Jerusalem had all this potential and
As our
capability.
foundation. That's what. Mhm.
This is our foundation. Who knew?
But then you hear a voice that says, trust what you know. Just trust what you know.
But you got to know that you know and what you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But that really helps me. I'm telling you, that keeps
Yes.
me mindful. Okay, just trust what you know. Let it go. Just be.
Okay. All right.
That don't mean I like you anymore.
All right. Y'all gonna be put on the two separate sides of the room.
Don't worry, I'm ignoring this distraction.
You ignore distraction.
I'll put the distraction in its place.
Okay, but I do have an affinity for this attribute here. Let's go on to topaz.
Okay.
Topaz. Topaz. That one. Okay. Lots of different colors for this one as well. Symbol of love and affection. And this attribute is said to bring out true love, courage, wisdom, and if you think physically, its energy is harnessed from the sun.
Mm.
If you think spiritually, if that's the case, that means the energy of topaz transcends time, it transcends space. It brings a solid, lasting energy, so that when you talk about you're joyful, and people wonder why you can have joy in the midst of distress, this is one of the attributes that feeds this energy into the foundation of you, New Jerusalem. So generosity, abundance, and not necessarily abundance the way we think of abundance physically, but abundance in terms of spiritual attributes. So it's almost like this perpetual energy from and through this attribute. It promotes truth and forgiveness. It brings intense clarity. Intense clarity to your intentions. Intense clarity to your intentions. It increases your focus on your thoughts, energy, and actions so that you can manifest your desires into physical activity.
Say again, the last part.
It increases, it brings it gives you intense clarity on your intentions. And so then, clarity in your intentions increases the focus of your thoughts, your energy, and your actions to manifest, in order to manifest your desires into physical activities.
Are these also the color of your aura, different auras that we carry, or?
I mean, you can say that if you want to, because there's varied colors. People have different colors as it relates to their auras.
Yeah.
with everything in the universe, everything is uh, um, uh, a microcosm of the macro of resonance, which is the sound wave, of color, of what's the other one that's fleeting from me? Of musical notes in terms of the resonance and vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So if all of this comes from the source, yeah.
So I'm trying to see this in relationship to desire and expectation. Focusing on the energy, your actions, your thoughts in order to bring about what you desire. So your thoughts have to be clear. Your actions towards that end has to be clear, as well as the energy that you release towards that end. So how clear thoughts means to take the impurities out, and the impurities are the things that will contradict your desires or impede them, which is usually doubt.
hmm So there's no room for doubt if you're focusing using this attribute. One of the things I forgot to remind you about with the barrel is that it calms the mind. It calms the mind. So all of the other things barrel does. So it's like you got this precursor of telling you through barrel you can say you can get rid of your emotional baggage. You can say and know and do what you need to do at the right time. And so having that attribute, now you can look at this additional foundation, which allows you to have the energy and the clarity of thought and the focus to create what you were talking about, your desires, etc., and manifest them physically. But know that everything else has to be in order. In other words, it's not going to manifest that multi-billion-dollar thing that's going on. It's based on spiritual attributes, and it's based on the desire for the treasure of those spiritual attributes. And so when you have those treasures, that's what we have access to in our foundation. All of these are treasures. Foundations are usually buried. Usually you don't see them physically. You don't see the foundation of what your house is built on. You know, you build, you dig it's in the ground, and you pour cement or whatever. Well, you have these as your cement or whatever. Spiritually, you have these attributes, and then I got your eyes. And then as you, as you start building on that foundation, and the earth is leveled around your home or around the building, you don't necessarily see that foundation anymore, unless it starts cracking and your house starts shifting, and the cement start and the doors in your house start not being able to close effectively, etc. Then you know something's wrong with the foundation. That's physical. But with this foundation, this spiritual foundation, that doesn't happen. And so once you can get rid of all that emotional baggage that ties you to you, that ties you to stuff, that ties you to the faults that you see in others, you can't. This helps you take that plank out of your own eye. Barrel, those attributes help you take so that you see clearly, responsibly, the truth about who people are, and you can forgive. It enhances truth and forgiveness. Because in seeing others and in seeing others' faults, you don't see their faults. You see them as Joshua sees you, or as Yahweh sees us. Looks beyond our faults and sees our needs. Beryl helps you look beyond folks' faults, and Topaz helps you to focus with clarity and intention and thought on what others require, what mankind requires, and can help you through that clarity increase your focus and your energy so you can manifest. So this tells me, wow, this explains some of the things that we have seen that have manifested in the physical based on our intentions. You know all the things, all the isms and schisms.
Mm-hmm.
As we were meeting that day at Pastor's house, and we were talking about, you know, it's Emmanuel 9, and we were talking about this flag is already down, and then Pastor's daughter, I think it was Keisha, sent
Yes.
Phoebe a text saying, look at this. Flag was coming down as we spoke. That's what all of this is about. That's what's in us to allow and to create and to do these things. And it's not about doing it for us. It's about doing it for the good of mankind. It's not about doing it for our families. It's bigger than that. Because our family is the world. Our family is, anyway, thoughts.
Well, my question is, are these the same stones that the priests had on their
Mm-hmm.
breastplate?
Yes.
Okay, so that's.
They may be called something different based on the iteration in your.
Mm-hmm.
But they appear multiple times, because they appear also in Isaiah.
But I'm just thinking that's why they were able to,
Do,
without really knowing it, they were able to manifest some of the things they were able to do.
the stones are symbolic of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they stopped working.
I'm sorry?
They stopped working.
They stopped working.
Yeah, you know, the high priest, when they would light up, when they got out of the wilderness, and
Yeah.
they began to move in their own direction, you hear very, very little about the priest. You hear everything about the prophet. And the prophet is chastising the priest. So now the priest has no idea of what's in it. As Audrey is talking about not knowing what's in us, the priest lost sight of that because he was more interested in what his eyes saw as opposed to what his eye recognized.
So now you, high priest of New Jerusalem, do you see what's in you? Do you see what your foundation is? It's being aware of it. So you're the high priest. We're the high priest now.
Well, we are focused on things that we aren't. We are told that you're not Yahweh, the one who saves. Yet we tell you got to get somebody saved. So how do you get someone saved? And if you are getting them saved, then what do you save them from? And if you're saving them from something, that means that you're delivering them out of something. So how can you be a deliverer and do as Jesus did without being Yahweh who delivers? So religion as it stands is so confusing, and that's the major reason we didn't recognize it. Think about what happened in Charleston when the Caucasian says, "How do you can't forgive anybody that fast?" Well, you don't know what's in me. You don't know what my foundation is. That's why you say that. The foundation of my existence is forgiveness, and therein lies the difference. Not knowing what kind of foundation you're built on. When parents say, "You weren't raised like that," what are they saying? The foundation that you got from us is different from the one you exhibited. Go back to what you know.
So are we becoming aware of our foundation and building from that?
That's exactly what's happening right now.
Okay. Okay.
So your stone's sparkling now, High Priestess?
You don't see it?
Yeah.
No, I'm still up here at Burrow. The one that chases demons away.
Okay, let me see if I can, this has a lot in it too.
I love for some reason, again, Burl it's just, that's,
It's sort of like that thing that centers you. Wow,
yeah,
Shazam.
it's the center, it seems like,
It brings it all together, and then it's almost like the worlds coming together, upper realm and lower realm.
is that not beauty though?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see, is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
All right. Topaz, that the energy of topaz, you can draw from that energy to uncover lies and illusions in others, as well as recognizing where you have strayed. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander, is what it's saying. And so you've got to be willing to face that in you. And when we can face it in us, we can see it in others. Because you aren't going to say, self, I hate you, after you see all the negativity and all that stuff. After you expose that to yourself, you find a way to balance that and to overcome those thoughts. That's what you do for other folk too, and that's why you're able to forgive. You're able to trust and forgive. You're able to find truth and forgive. So the truth that you find is not what you see, but what you know. The truth that you see in others, it's like seeing the person on the street who's begging, quote unquote. What you see is someone who's begging physically. What you know is that this person has divinity in them, and they deserve the same respect that any other person who's created deserves. So that's the truth that you see. So we can put away the desire to manipulate others and things like that, because having this attribute won't let you do that. It helps you see you. And so if part of you has been manipulating, part of me has been manipulating in my life, once I uncover the awareness and know that this attribute is in me, it's difficult to do what you used to do. Because it's in your face.
Yeah.
This attribute cuts through uncertainty and doubt. It instigates a sound a trust in the universe.
This is the next one?
Nope, still on topaz.
Okay.
It carries nameless energy. Remember we talked about the energy, it's almost, not almost, unlimited energy if it's connected to the source. Unlimited energy.
You said it cuts through uncertainty and doubt and what?
It carries unlimited energy. I said nameless, but nameless means our source is nameless.
You said something else before that.
Instigates.
Trust in the universe.
Trust in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So this energy can help you tap into higher realms of awareness, so that you can channel divine wisdom and knowledge. Topaz has that attribute has that capacity. So we've come through Beryl, which gets you right where you need to be. And so that Beryl is the sweet spot. It puts you where you need to be in order to begin to access other things, like the focus concentration that Topaz has to offer, and it helps you. Beryl helps you settle your mind, drop those emotional bags, so that you're ready to focus on divineness, if that resonates.
It does.
Divine thought, whatever the Creator has to channel to you, it helps do that.
It's also the color of the heart chakra.
It's one of the colors.
One of the
'cause it can
colors
be
of the heart
different
chakra.
colors. Yeah.
Chakras. So,
When I think of the heart chakra, I also think of Beryl too, because it's the centeredness of everything. I think a balance there.
that's what I'm looking for. It's the center of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I hear you.
It's like they are different, yet all of them are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no way that you can separate the traits because they're actually the same, even though they're different.
Well, I remember Janice saying it's like a prism looking,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
yeah.
It reminds me of Elohim. That
Yeah.
the oneness is there, but there are different attributes.
Right.
But together, all of these attributes are part of that one foundation.
Right.
Fearfully and wonderfully made, okay.
Questions about Topaz? Any other comments about Topaz?
Yeah, we could make us more simple than this.
What?
Make us a little bit simpler.
Just take your cliff notes and we'll just use that. What's this other stone? This is number 10 we're getting ready to talk about. How do you say it? Chrosophone?
So, that's it.
Chrosophases.
Spell that word.
Chrosophases.
C-H.
CHR. Wait a minute. I can't read my writing.
C-H-R-Y.
Yeah. SOPERASUS.
Hey,
Crassiphrase, 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 crassiphrase. Okay. This attribute is, if you look at the actual, going from the physical to the spiritual, if you look at the stone itself, it's sort of like apple greenish in color. It's known for manifesting optimism and joy and happiness. So this is your ultimate antidepressant. It's hard to be down when when the energy of this activity is coming through. It brings you through the vibration of divine truth. It heals the heart of energies, and again, it's hard to be depressed when you're walking in, and this energy is coursing through your nature, New Jerusalem. It's in your foundation, and it's like being in the state of Beryl. It's hard to think about those negative things because you're balanced. Everything else builds on that. It doesn't say you're never going to be depressed, but you don't stay there. You have that energy in you that you can't stay there. Anxiety that goes along with depression. You can't stay there. This one is, as you said, this one is the one that also is associated with the heart chakra. um, the vibes are serene. It's violin, calm your brain. You know, like the thing that says music calms the savage beast. Sort of thing. The vibes, the energy, the resonance of this attribute sort of does that. Anxiety flares. Calm down and breathe. Calm down and breathe. Fear pops up in you. Calm down and breathe. It helps to cool off intense emotions um, when you have that anxiety storm. It has that ability when you allow it to come forth in you. That's what helps you get yourself under control. That's what helps you. It's a decision too, because it doesn't say this stuff won't arise in you, but you have what the Bible says you have all that you need according to life and godliness. The godliness part, attributes. You have everything. We have everything we need to be who we are. Everything.
You know what? When I meditate, I see colors, and I see these colors.
Mm-hmm.
That just occurred
It's
to
a
me.
reminder, isn't it?
Wow.
Mm.
I always see color, and it's like they like moving.
That's
Yeah.
really too. You're sort of moving in and out. And,
It's
wow.
almost like they're bleeding into each other.
Mm-hmm. When they bleed into each other, that place they're inseparable. What can I say? I think of an aurora or something like that. Or else. Our thoughts. I got calm just talking about it.
You almost put me to sleep.
Yeah, you gotta say, she born?
No, when she was just saying, she talked so calm, and you know, she just
No.
she put you in a state of
Yeah,
being.
yeah. No.
I think that to talk about them, it can be overwhelming when you talk about all the things that they represent.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you desire to embrace or be one with these attributes
Mm-hmm.
and stop trying to memorize it, that's when you become it. It's not necessary to be able to tell you which stone,
Yeah,
based
that's
upon
right.
how I feel at this moment. The objective is to make sure that you know what's in you, and embracing what's in you allows you to have access to these attributes. It's like magnesium is a stone. It does its job,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't know what it's doing to your system. Can you describe what it's doing? All you know is you took some magnesium.
So you said to experience it, to do what again?
You experience it so that you can express it.
So the goal here is not for you to be able to go out and say, I know what this is and I know what that
Right,
is and I
it's
know what
not-
that is. It's a stirring up. It's a reminder of stirring up in you, Jerusalem, of what your foundation is. Because if you ask me next week what this does now, I might not. But I know enter.
And that's one of the reasons I try to do the Cliff Note version, because once you're finished teaching, because I'm gonna teach, I'm gonna use this, teach it. Then I go back through all of them together with the Cliff Note version and leave it, and that's it.
Mhm.
And if that's,
Like you said, she's laying the foundation, and you're gonna build upon it. And
No,
stuff.
No, this is.
No?
this is the foundation.
Okay, this is it.
Regardless of how you approach it, it's still the
Okay.
foundation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Strong foundation.
Any other questions about Topaz? Jacinth is the next one. Jacinth. It might also be known as zircon. Zircon.
you said Jaci.
Enth.
Okay.
The physical attributes of the stone they thought was to protect from the wearer from energy. A lot of this, they talk about the stone, the physical aspect of it is there's the power to bring money and things like that. But you got to look beyond that and look at the spiritual underpinning. It can bring emotional healing. If you've been, if something, for lack of a better way to relate it, there's something in each of us that causes us to have some degree of PTSD, whatever it's tied to, whether it's tied to seeing the atrocious loss of life in war, or someone being raped, or seeing your parent abused, or you being abused, whatever that is, that shocking thing that shocked your system and causes you to remember that. So it's hard to get past that because you always filter things through that. This energy allows that emotional kind of tie to those kinds of negative things to be healed.
So, if that, when you said money, right?
Yeah.
That brings power or brings money, has the power to bring emotional healing, right? And when I thought about when you said money, I didn't see that as money itself as much as I saw related to the scripture, seek ye first the kingdom of God, all these things will be added.
Mm-hmm.
This will add everything that you need to survive on this earth. That's how I saw that as being the money issue as opposed to greed.
So yeah, if the spiritual meaning of what money
Right.
symbolizes.
Right. Yeah. That's what my mind went immediately.
Mm-hmm. Other thoughts? Because I know you guys have been looking too. All right, the next one. That one was short and sweet. Amethyst.
You want to spell it for me?
AmethYst.
Just looking at the different colors.
Energies provided through this are tied to purification, to cleansing. It's like that nickel magnesium. It cleanses when you need it to cleanse. These energies are tied to those kinds of attributes. It can cleanse your energy of negative kinds of things. Again, that attach you to things that attach you to negative thoughts, negative influences. This also is a sort of like I don't want to say that. This energy works in all planes: emotional, physical, spiritual plane, to promote that calming and that the balance, to promote that peace. Again, this is tied to the ability to think more clearly and not be heavy emotions cloud stuff.
That's interesting.
These energies bring wisdom so that you have uh, greater clarity of understanding, but we've already talked about that, and others as well. But you know, Pastor, I think when it repeats itself, it just I think it has some significance when things are repeated through these various attributes. I just haven't pulled them together. But the more you hear in a thread of truth about wisdom, a thread of truth that transcends more than one or two or three attributes about the same kind of thing, it's just reiterating, I think, and reminding us of the mixture of the foundation. Anything else? Any other thoughts? Any other anybody got anything else to add? So the 12 tribes, their breastplate the priest's breastplate had 12 lights. There are 12 disciples. The 12 gates to the city, all of which are pearl. And again, I guess we may have to go back through the disciples to understand the folk, the peoples of the world that they represent. And I think what we'll find is just like these attributes represent everything, you're going to find these 12 sons of Jacob represent everybody, mankind. Which means then that the foundation of the New Jerusalem is for everybody, regardless of religion, regardless of origin, regardless of race, whatever. Because the 12 gates of that right city of righteousness, although the gates have, each one has written the name of one of the 12 tribes, it's still all based on that foundation, the same foundation. So righteousness in any individual, any person, any nation, any country, any righteousness is based on, is the same in terms of what's available to everybody. So here's my question. What if you have the same foundation, and this is describing the New Jerusalem? What if I had that same foundation in different places within the New Jerusalem? But my neighborhood is on the other side of Jerusalem. Yours might be near the West Gate, but mine's near the East Gate. But the foundations are the same. New Jerusalem is you. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter what country you're originally from. New Jerusalem is you and me.
Isn't that the purpose of it being, isn't that the purpose of the four corners of the earth, or like north, west, south, east, west, north, south, east, west, everything is everything, and it's for everybody.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just symbolic of the world itself.
Right.
But if you really think about it physically, there are no corners.
Well, yeah.
But yes, you're right.
Yeah.
It's just symbolic. Pastor, you want to talk about these pearly gates?
No, I'm waiting on you to do that. You did such a superb job.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm serious. Yeah. I'm looking at again for the first time the whole idea of 12 speaking to government,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that the other part of that is speaks of government and perfection, a perfected government.
So spiritually, though, 12 represents that perfect.
Yeah.
Uh,
And even when we talk about the perfected government, we're not talking about a government without blemish. Because there's a tree for healing. So it has to be something there to be healed. The idea of government, 12, 3 times 4 is 12. 3 is divinity, and 4 is creation on earth.
mm-hmm.
So it tells me that to understand this foundation and the other things in this special revelation that pertains to 12, it gives us the opportunity to bring into to manifestation a divine government or a rulership based upon spiritual principles. The opportunity to usher that type of government into the earth. Could it possibly be that the reason these things in Revelation are being exposed now or being revealed to us now is because it is necessary for that perfected governmental foundation to be laid in those on this journey before it can be manifested in the earth.
That's what I saw when you were
Right.
saying that. I must first govern me,
Yeah,
get me, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then I'd be
that's
able
what I'm
to,
talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be able to,
Well, actually, you being able to is not you actually doing anything except letting it flow through you.
Flow through
You
me.
become a conduit.
okay,
for it.
okay, I see that now,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
So it's just knowing, it's becoming aware, because it's in us all along.
yeah,
But your point, I think, is that, Revelations is about revealing, and so it's just revealing and helping us see who we are. And in seeing who we are, there have been things that have happened because of our intent.
Mm-hmm.
But even more so now, if we know and understand the foundations of the attributes, there's so much more. And I think on a much larger scale, although scale means nothing in the spiritual, a small thing spiritually is a huge thing. But I guess I'm thinking about what can be manifested also in this physical as well. And there have been some big things that, quote unquote, relatively speaking, that have manifested even in the physical over the past year, 2 years,
and
since the 2011. Things have
I don't see, I really don't see anything balancing immediately, coming to a place of balance, because those who are seeking it have not come to a place of balance.
those who are speaking have not
Or
come.
seeking this balance for humanity must first experience balance themselves. that one of those other meanings that last stone, just sent whatever it is to dream.
Is the what, Pastor?
To dream. The
Okay.
Hebrews believe that if you order a stone, it causes you to dream.
Which the,
The last one.
JACINT.
So, and it's also believed that, Hebrews believe that, well, actually, all indigenous people believe that a dream is a message from the other world. And as opposed to just something that irritates you when it's scary or whatever. But it has a meaning. So, could it be that the dream that we have for balance we have to see it first in a dream? I can't describe what it looks like, but I know what it feels like. You don't know what love looks like, but you know what it feels like. And even though you know what it feels like, you can't reproduce that feeling when you choose to. It has to be manifested toward you in order for that feeling to be reproduced. You see what I'm talking about? So
So you're talking, it has to be experienced, you have to be, it's, you can't just talk about it. It's almost like a being.
yes,
You have to, I don't know, I can't
it
explain.
is. It's like it's to me it's an experience that I have talking to unconscious people without verbalizing it, through touch or simply just being in the presence. I can't explain what I'm experiencing. I don't even hear in the classical sense of hearing the words, but I experience them. And that's because I embrace the reality that we are one, and there is no such thing as being unconscious. As much, I think the body itself is non-functional. However, the spirit is still conscious of everything around it. You know, you say the last thing that goes your hearing is conscious of everything around it. So, if I trust that and I speak without verbalizing, then it's heard, and I know it's heard because of some of the things that has transpired in the last few weeks when I had that type of communication with Captain Leonard's dad, and the next day, now he was totally out of it, but the next day when he called them by his bedside, he talked to them about everything we said, or exchanged, I should say. And when Peter was on the transition on Tuesday, I went by and we talked, because she was quote unquote unconscious. And the conversation was about letting go, but not until she had all her children in her presence. And it's funny that it happened, and she did not leave until the oldest one said, "Why don't you leave?" Because they kept rubbing it and kept on talking to her. "Why don't you leave her alone? If you leave her alone, she'll go. Just leave her alone. When she's ready, she'll leave." And then everybody started laughing and talking, and she said, and that was it. And he said, "What you saying? Stop pulling on her. You're resisting. You keep on here." That's what he was actually saying, without knowing what he was saying. So the conversation that we had manifested in the physical, and it took the one who always lays the one to get there to make sure that she left without recrimination because of the kids trying to hold on to her. I once said that I have been in the presence of more people transitioning than I would like to remember. But I have to change that. Because yeah, I can't believe that I don't want to remember in that I wouldn't like to, I'm weird to say I wouldn't like to be in that presence. When you say more than I'd like to remember. Yet I don't believe that anyone should transition alone. So you can't have it both ways. The whole idea of recognizing this righteousness puts you in a place where you are the dominant force in the earth. You are the dominator of the environment that you are in. But it doesn't mean that you're the manipulator of it. It doesn't mean that you are the one who rules it in your favor. Is domination for the purpose of a balance in humanity. Everything that's done is done for the benefit of the other, as opposed to the benefit of me. You understand what I'm trying to say? And these stones are indicative of that. Who is that in the scriptures when they crossed the Jordan River? Said, leave these stones on the other side that they may know we pass this way. Was that Joshua when they crossed the Jordan? Yeah. When he talked about leaving those stones there, I believe that we can see this as a manifestation of what we are talking about now. Embrace these stones so that others can see who we are and move in the same direction. You don't have, like I said, I'm a teacher. I don't have to teach this, not even the Bible for that matter, to the whole world. It just needs to be done when you feel like you need to teach it. I was talking about it last week. I said two things last week. I said to one particular group I was talking. And I said, I'm going to teach this thing. They said, when you go through? I said, well, Bobby's not finished yet. And I told them I had, trouble trying to make them up myself. And then one said, well, it doesn't matter. When Bobby finishes, right. That kind of thing. It's like passing it on and recognizing not your limitations, but recognizing your purpose for that moment. It's like I'm not limited by not being able to do it for stone. It was not purpose for me to birth this.
Yes. Yeah.
So when I take that and wrap it into a ball, roll it into a ball, I see the distraction of this current government has been the inhibitor for the replacement of the government on behalf of the people. And the replacement of a government on behalf of the people does not necessarily mean that he has to go. Physically. The establishment of a government that benefits the people is all about a state of being. It's about an attitude. And an attitude of arrogance, an attitude that craves attention, has a better chance of doing things, manifest things in a physical way than does someone who cares about what people say. What I mean by that is this. I'll give you an example. Let's say that the Congress passed a bill that everybody has health insurance, and that the minimum wage is $15 an hour. He goes sign that because he don't care what people think about it. But someone who cares about what people think about them is not going to do that because they look at the next election. So the attitude has to change, is my point. In the attitude, we spend too much time with the distraction of seeking to change the presence of people in certain places, rather than changing attitudes. And you don't change attitude by talking about people or to them. You change attitudes by changing yours. And the energy that flows from your attitude is the dominant energy in the earth. And you say, well, people have free will. Yes, they do have free will. However, free will, if you use your free will to do things that are adverse to what we are supposed to be in terms of righteousness, righteousness overcomes it every time.
Well, I always say I have the free will to do it God's way.
Yeah, and that's it. And the free will that's being manifest doing it the opposite. It does it because no one challenged it. That's why it wins out. But when you challenge it on the basis of I know who I am, and this is what I choose for humanity based upon my relationship with the Creator, then it doesn't matter how vehemently they are about their position as in an adversarial way, it still loses. And the losing is not like a game of losing. It loses by virtue of not being able to shape humanity in its image, as opposed to humanity flowing in the image in which it was shaped. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And I think these stones are doing that.
And I think part of the illusion is that not that they win, it's the illusion that they win too.
Yeah. You're right. Because it's a season. So, I don't see any difference in from the time that the African hit the shores of this country, history has been constantly repeating itself. The only thing that has changed from that period is the method of bondage. But history is going to continue to repeat itself. We have been an enslaved people from the time that we hit these shores actually stolen, until now. It's just a different kind of bondage. You see where I'm coming from? And the most deadly bondage is not the one with chains. The most deadly bondage is spiritual bondage. So when we look at it, if you look at how things have repeated themselves since 1619, if you move forward from that, you will see that there's a continuous the history is repetitive, and the question becomes why? Because there has not been a type of Adam to stand in the gap, to seek the things that's hidden in plain sight, to unfold what's in the book, the holy book, to unfold it in a manner that frees humanity. Honestly, until now, the Bible has been the source of bondage. It's been the mechanism of bondage.
I can see that.
And but when you look at it for what it really says, the expressions of it, you begin to see that it actually is a book of freedom. But the reason it has not done that is because it has been manipulated to keep enslaved people in bondage. The freedom now is in seeing not just the Bible itself, but the freedom is in seeing how the whole of our spiritual essence has been loosened by virtue of what we have been exposed to in the last few years, but more importantly, in the last few months, to see things manifest so quickly and not even make any efforts to shape it or to make it be something different, but to simply embrace it and keep it moving. One of the things I believe that has been a great help in this journey is when we, without equivocation, connect the journeys of Yeshua and Muhammad. And understanding that the reason there's such a battle between quote-unquote Christianity and quote-unquote Islam is because if you can keep these distractions going, then the next step beyond Muhammad does not take place. And if you look at what the Quran says and what Jesus says, you see that they are connected, but you also see something else in the Quran, and that it speaks to the whole of mankind not living under a tyrannical religious government, but living under a spiritual government, the government that the Creator intends for us to live under. That's what the vision was. It was not about forcing people to do anything, because to the contrary, all religious people who believe different things were protected by that. So to make that connection is to be the bridge that goes beyond Muhammad. Jesus said there will be one who comes after me, and the one is Muhammad. And it's my belief that to embrace these things is to become the manifestation of what is to be, not a bridge. It's the manifestation of what is to be now, because the bridge has already been crossed. It's like everything that we've grown up with has become the God on the other side of the river. And the choice that's continuously being made is to be submissive to Elohim on this side of the river, as opposed to the one on the other side, which is created by man. And if you look at every religion that man has taken out of context, every single one of them end up with people in bondage. That from Kemet forward, they always end up with people in bondage. But when you look at the essence of the book, it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen in a way that causes mankind to become the source of your greed, or the one who satisfies your greed. It doesn't happen that way. So that's why I believe it is so important to understand the pearly gate. It doesn't say that gates has pearl on it. The gates are pearl, which tells me there is something there that speaks to entering. The foundation has been laid. It's like laying the foundation for med school. You don't enter the profession of a doctor until you go through a gate of initiation. So I believe that when we understand the pearl, then we will be more better equipped to recognize within ourselves the difference or the change, the Yeshua effect will take place. Because I don't think we have any issue with embracing that we are indeed Elohim. It's the Yeshua effect that will take place.
Do you believe that what has transpired in terms of the physical and Donald Trump's rise to the presidency and the in-your-face sort of negativity has contributed to our being in a place where these things could be more revealed?
I think it's the opposite. I think because we were in a place where they could be revealed, where we desire so deeply for them to be revealed, it allowed for him to, someone like him, to be raised in power. Because without him being where he is, we don't see what needs to be corrected. And neither do we see the corrections. So I believe that because of the search, because of the journey, it creates seems like I got somebody standing in the gap now. So let's get this thing done. So the history doesn't repeat itself.
So then the other part, when building on that, the other part of it is that it then is the opportune season for these attributes to be put in the macro, because you got people out there who may be open to receiving what the essence of these attributes, because they've seen, you know, how negative stuff is, and they want some balance in their lives. They want to see, you know, they don't want to see the greed anymore to the extent we see it. They don't want to see the attacks, the vicious attacks on individuals as well as groups that they've seen because of our president. They're ready for something, for change. It's like the wine press. You don't get the wine unless there's certain things you have to do. So putting this in the macro then, when they're ready for change, makes them open to receiving all that we've that has been revealed to us as well.
Yes. So that, yeah, I mean, that's my take on it. I just see it from that we are the source of this, and when I say that, and I've said it before, because when people say to me, especially those I cover, something about how horrific things are, I tell them it's your fault. You know, you did it by virtue of design. You can't expect the wound to heal until you get the pulse out of it. So.
And see, all of this is the creating that pearl. All of this, all of the stuff that we individually as well as mankind is going through is that irritation that helps to create the pearl. So you're right. We're doing it ourselves.
Yes. And it won't, nothing will change until time for it to change. And it has nothing to do with our schedule, you know, our, it is time, but it has everything. I'm pretty static. Telephone, can you hear the static?
Yeah, I can hear static, but for some reason.
I don't understand, but maybe it's the energy.
What is that?
Okay.
Well, I am done with this for
Seriously
today.
though, will you repeat
Sorry?
the pearls?
The what?
The pearls.
Well, look at the pearls.
Okay, come it's, I don't know, it's a gateway, it's an entrance. Because everybody talks about it.
So the obvious answer has to be yes, I will, right?
Yeah. The funeral for Phoebe Mama is Monday at 1 o'clock.
Monday at 1.
134 G Chapel Road, Carlisle.
Oh, it's gonna
telephone people, we gonna let you go. Now the static stop. Maybe it was that phone that was just what? Nope, why not? Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Tried redialing in, thought it might be me. Pete, talk to y'all later.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty, have a good week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, Sheldon.
Oh, Sheldon.
You sound like you sleep. Okay.
Are you finished recording?